most networking for business does not work. And it is not your fault, my friend. I'm here to tell you that, many times you walk into a networking room and you go, okay, is this for me? Right? Because see, the problem isn't the networking itself. The problem is how networking is actually designed. And whenever the networking is not designed correctly, you feel it, don't you? Because look, I've been doing networking for over 30 years, and I find that to be so true, that the networking number one problem that I see is I walk in the room and immediately I can tell whether it's actually a good networking event or it's a bad networking event. And how I define bad networking event is like people who are there, they're constantly asking, what can I get from this? What can I get from this? What can I get from this? What's in it for me? And then what happens is you see that mindset, that the energy of that person or the people around you is very, it sucks you dry almost, right? So you feel like the first reason I find that networking events we have a hard time on is very first thing is transactional. Okay, it's transactional, my friend. So why is this so crucial? Why this is so crucial is, number one is like, you're there to make connections. You're there to build relationships. You're there to build friendships so that you can have a authentic connection. Like, one of the friend of mine, I connected. I remember in 2008 when I started doing speaking engagements, and I connected with this person, and this person and I, we were both just coming up. We were just brand new on the stages. We were just taking up stages. We connected back then. I'm talking 2008, and today we're about to work together, and we've been in touch ever since then. So what I'm saying is that back then when we created networking, it was authentic. Right? So authenticity is so crucial when you go into a networking structure. So making sure that you belong to the right structure is very, very crucial. So when you're choosing the networking event, choose the right one, right? So make sure when you walk in, if it feels transactional, I would suggest you walk away from that event, because guess what, it's probably not the right fit for the long-term growth. Because I've gone to a lot of events where I would walk in and I can just read the room, and it's all about, I'm going to sell you, 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 I'm going to make money from you, I'm going to sell you, I'm going to make money. Pretty much all it is. And what ends up happening when that keeps happening is that you end up losing, right, momentum. You end up losing the energy. End up losing, you feel like, oh my God, like, why am I here? Right. And then what happens is, even if you do end up meeting those people that, maybe you do one-on-one after that or something of that nature, it's all about them selling you, or you try to sell them, and it's not really authentic connection, and then eventually you lose steam. The second reason I find, this is the 90% of the people, the reason networking fail, that I found networking events fail, is second reason I find is there is no structure, right? So there is no structure. Okay, there is no structure. Now I'm going to put a red mark to this, okay, right here. Why? Because what you find is that when you walk into a networking room, okay, when there is no structure, there is no structure right here. This is a 90% of the reason networking events you might be having hard time at networking events. 90% of the networking events fail right here. Okay, 90% of the time. So what happens is, let's say you invest money to go to this networking event. Now listen, think about how much time you put into this to go to this networking event. You spent money, you spent time, you spent gas, you spent effort, you spent emotional energy, right? With energetically, and then what happens is you go there and there's no instructions. It's a random loud energy, blah 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 blah. A lot of the stuff going on, right? There's no guidance, there's no intention, there is no direction that they're giving you, none whatsoever. So people talk a lot and nothing is actually landing. And that is the second biggest thing I find, that number one reason that this is a structure is probably the highest reason where networking events don't work. Now, it's not your fault. It's all about the structure. It's all about making sure that, okay, So what happens in this case, right, is that this one thing alone that I just talked about, no structure, is the 90% of the reason that destroys all networking events. 90% is the reason why your networking event gets destroyed, is because there is no structure. There is no flow to the structure. There is no guidance to the structure, that when you go in, so that you can walk away with the maximum impact. The third, and what happens is that noise, feels the product, productive until nothing changes, right? So it's basically a whole bunch of noise that's going on, that feels like you're productive, but at the end, the real raw understanding of network event and how it's productive is like, you go there, you spend time, you have a good time. Like whenever I've gone to a nice networking event, I know for sure that not only I walk away with connections, but I walk away with fulfillment. I walk away with total, oh my God, that was such a great place to go. And I absolutely love for me to go there, right? So that's a reason. And last but not least, right, is the reason. Okay. Third reason. We're talking about third reason. Okay. Is basically, you want to really hone into this third one, and it's called performance. Okay. Performance. Okay. So the reason you go to networking is to perform, to make sure that you can make money. But what you feel like is, guess what? There's always pitching. Somebody comes on the stage and they're pitching. Somebody talks to you and they're pitching. Somebody is pulling you aside and they're pitching. Somebody's getting you on a Zoom call and they're pitching. So everyone is basically performing a stage act, if you will, to pretending to get to know you versus actually getting to know you. So the fourth reason I find, so that's the third reason I find that networking events, are failing, and it's not your fault. The fourth reason I find the networking event situation, that I would say, there is no integration. There is no okay. There is no integration. Okay, there is no integration whatsoever. Now, what does that mean, right? So, for instance, you are. I've gone to an event where I would be at an event and I'll be networking, and all of a sudden you get interrupted. Like I remember one particular event, we were at a restaurant, and then we got interrupted abruptly. Hey, everything is ending. Leave soon. And so there's no pause. There's no reflection time. There is no clarity around what's really what to do next. It's just kind of like a random thing that you feel like. So so basically what happens is, whatever insight that you had or the excitement that you have, it basically disappears. Okay. So what I can tell you on that front is, insight insight without reflection, it never turns into action. Insight without reflection never turns into action. So now at this point in time, I want you to think about it, right? So bad networking, I want you to understand, it's not a waste of time, right? It just doesn't waste of time. It is actually more than that, right? It erodes your confidence. Gets into your energetically in your chakras and in your energies. It gets inside, it digs in, and it takes away the small piece of confidence, because you went there to do business and now you don't have business, and that erodes your part of you, like leaves, if you will. It like literally just leaves out of your body, right? People start thinking something is wrong, with them. So when you go to a networking event, I went to a networking event where I didn't get any business. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I don't understand. And then what happens if you start to get into this number one thing that most individuals or entrepreneurs have, is that I'm not good enough. So it gets tapped into that, and it takes away, it validates that, what, I'm not good enough. That's why I'm not getting business. But the reality of the matter is, right? So the bad networking events do this to you. So I've experienced it firsthand, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. So when really, so now the question then becomes is what actually works in that? What actually works in a networking event? So let's talk about that for a second. What actually works? So this is what does not work. in a networking event. Okay. Now, as I'm doing this with you right now, okay, as I'm talking to you, okay, about so as I'm talking to you about this networking event and what doesn't work, now let's talk about what does work. Okay, what does work in a networking event and how to really, how to really fix this. Okay, so let's talk about what does work. Okay, let's give it a second. And by the way, you're listening to me, and if you have comments about what you have seen work, let me know in the comment. I would love to know. Okay, so right, so let's talk about what actually works. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about what actually works in a network event. Now, when you see a networking event, what I find is whenever I do my networking events, very first thing I'm looking for is alignment. Right. Very first thing that works in a networking event is a pure proper alignment. Okay. So alignment, okay, drives connection. Okay, alignment drives connection. Now, why is it so important to know that alignment drives connection? I'll tell you why. Because when you like me, for instance, this friend that I'm talking about, right? Like this person and I connected 2008. We aligned back then. We didn't know exactly how we were going to do business, but as a human beings, we aligned, and because we aligned, we kept the connection going, and that connection today is turning into something absolutely beautiful, right? So just make sure you focus on creating. When people slow down, when you slow down at an event, when you get grounded at an event, when conversation change, like really changes, and it becomes part of this particular event. Okay, so what happens is a presence. Your presence is known, and their presence is known, and that drives performance over time. So what happens is, over time, as you're building out this whole infrastructure based on events, and that's how you want to grow your business, my friend, clarity comes before connections. Just remember that clarity comes before connection. So clarity creates connection, and not is not the other way around, right? Connection doesn't create clarity. Clarity creates connection. It is not the other way around, my friend. I want you to just take a note of that. Now, the second thing you're going to find is that, look, the second thing is, okay, it's guided conversations. So the second thing you're going to find is number two that works, okay, is guided conversations. Okay, guided conversations. Now, what is guided conversation? What is a guided conversations are, they're driven by quality questions. Okay, so they're driven. How are they driven? They're I'm gonna make it a dot. Okay, by quality. Okay, quality questions. Okay, questions. Okay, they're how are they done? By quality questions. So quality of the questions determine the quality of connection. So this friend I'm talking to you about long time ago, right? They asked me, what is the number one thing I really wanted from this, connecting with this person. And we had a deep dialogue about that. And I asked the same question to this person and a couple of the teammates, and they also told me that, and that stayed with us all these years. That stayed with us, right? And we stayed connected, and now we are about to work together as a two best friends. So the quality of your questions that you ask during the networking event, or the quality of questions you get asked during the networking event, determines the quality of the network. the network that you belong to. So if the quality questions are not being asked, most likely probably not a good thing for you. Okay. So not last but not least, I want you to think about it. Okay. The third thing, I want the third way that networking actually works is basically reflection. Okay. Reflection drives direction. Okay. Reflection drives direction. So reflecting turns into direction. Like for us, every time I think about this person, I go back to the time where the first time we met. We took a picture. We took a, we took a little selfie. Like click, back in the day, right? Selfie wasn't a big thing back then, but we took a selfie and we still have that, right? And then we took a picture with other people and we still have those pictures. And this person then ended up showing at one of my events when I did my launch of my book, Sell Like Crazy. And this person showed up at that point, and we have pictures of that. And then she gave me a testimonial, so we have testimonial of that. So we have so many things going. So this basically sticks. This sticks with you throughout the years as you are doing this. So this is what people are actually looking for. So basically, when you are going to a networking event, right? It's a you really want to find where number four. Okay, number four is you are basically there is basically no hidden agenda. Okay, and you are really feeling like you are invited. There's no pressure to be sold something. Basically, in a short, like the stronger relationships that builds from networking, where there's no pressure whatsoever. You go there, you naturally learn. You learn about what other people are doing, and you're just there to create that authentic connection. When people feel safe, when you feel safe at a networking, whenever I have felt safe, like I remember for the first time when I created my company, Financial Chakras, and I was actually looking to target a certain group of people. And in this case, I determined based on my market data that most of the clients who I would have are women entrepreneurs. Now, it wasn't something that I personally planned on. It just happens to be Financial Chakras. Back then, chakras were more popular, or they were just coming up to in gaining popularity, mostly in the women marketplace. So I ended up going to this event that was full of women, and I remember I was uncomfortable. I wasn't so sure if I should walk in there or not. But the way they made me feel, okay, the way they made me feel as a only guy in the room was so unique. They were so nice to me that I felt like, okay, I understand that I am not a woman, but I understand that, I do understand women because, I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have grandparent and my grandmother, like, all kinds of women I'm around. So I understand how women think. But at the same token, I felt uncomfortable because there was all bunch of women. I'm talking like 100 to 150 women, and I'm the only guy in the room. So I'm sure, I hope you can understand. But what happened was the way they treated me, the way that this is how I met this first person I'm talking about, right? And since then, that the strong relationships were was built because there was no pressure for me to get sold, for me to, oh my god, like, you're gonna walk away with this, or even though, and I walked in, I'm sure everybody has an intention of like doing business, but feeling pressured is just not necessary. So when people feel safe, business flows naturally, and the best connections happen when there is no agenda. The best connections happen when there is no agenda, which means that there's no agenda of like, okay, they're just gonna come in and sell you, or they're just gonna come in and upsell you into something, or they just having a hidden agenda, right? That is always a bad for businesses. At least that's what I found. Okay, whenever there's a person who is coming in with an agenda, this is really issue. So look, I'm gonna give you a one on core understanding. Okay, there is this, so this is why, when there is a host and they're structuring a business networking experience, they're really focused on connecting and creating an experience for you when they take the time to connect with you, to take the time to help you, right? Take the time to make sure there is no pitches, or there is no, like, there are no links being shared all over the place, or there are no price, like there's no, not much of like, okay, buy this from me, buy that from me, right? But they create this host. When they host takes the time to create clarity and connection, like properly create clarity and connection, it becomes such a beautiful event, where event is no longer the issue. The real thing is you're there for an experience. You're there because, oh my god, you just love it. Okay, so when the room is designed for the right conversation, business conversations feel natural, and then what happens, business come naturally to you. See, look, I've done business since 2008, or even before that. I was a financial planner since 1994, and I relied on networking for a long time. And I can tell you firsthand that networking is so beautiful when you do it correctly. I have never had to experience like downturn, like 2008, or COVID, or any of that. Like, it didn't really affect me. Why? Because always made sure I connect right way to in networking. So next time you consider networking, ask yourself this question. Okay, am I walking into a room designed for noise? Question number one. And number two, or if is room really designed for clarity? Which room am I walking into? The difference between these two questions changes everything. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick summary of what I just talked about. Okay, so first and foremost, why networking events fail. Number one, it feels transactional. Number two, there is no structure. Number three, there is it's performance driven, meaning people are just trying to sell you something. And number four, there is no like integration. There is no way for you to connect authentically. But what actually works in a networking event, what I found over the years, is a networking event when there is alignment create connection. Number two, what I find is that when quality, this guided conversations, meaning quality goes into questions, meaning you are really having true connections that your guys are looking for. Then comes reflection, creates direction, meaning you get to look back and go, oh my god, we took pictures back then, oh my god, like it was such a long time ago that we met, right? That oh my god moments that you have, those are true reflections. You get to go back and go, whoa, I remember that, right? So that being said, okay, last but not least, there's no agenda, meaning there's no agenda to sell you. There's just agenda to that's just to help you out in the best way possible, and the host has made sure of that. Okay, so just to give you an understanding, okay, so why this is the way you should look at a networking event when you go into a networking room, and really look for patterns, whether it is going to work for you or not, right? And look, I'm going to give you a open invitation to networking event that I'm doing every Wednesday from 12 to 2 o'clock. And if you really want to experience a networking event that's totally aligned, I'm going to give it to you like on a silver platter. It's totally free. There's no charge for it whatsoever, and there's going to be a link here below this video, or you're listening to my podcast. There will be a link in the podcast that you can basically join. Okay, in this networking event that I'm doing, first we're going to get aligned. We're going to get internally aligned first and foremost. Second thing, we're going to start creating I'm going to give you a proper way to connect with each other. Then we're going to go into really having this networking experience, meaning like let's now go into networking experience. And then I'm going to teach you a topic that you can walk away with, meaning like you're not just going to come there to do just networking, but you'll also walk away with something, meaning you're in business and you're struggling, or your business in and you need to really help. My company, Financial Chakras, it's I truly believe in alignment in a big time. So I'm going to teach you, so I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things about aligning your business so you can grow, because my goal is to help you grow at the end of the day. And last but not least, we will do one more networking round, and then we'll do one more alignment. And so this way, when you come in from the time you come in to the time you leave, you will have this amazing experience. And I just want to give you this my invitation to come to my event, and I would love to have you, my friend. My name is Ash Shukla. We are having this event, Financial Chakras, business networking circle. We do this every Wednesday from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I would love to have you Eastern time. I would love to have you, and I cannot wait to see you there, my friend. Thank you so much for listening today. About look, this particular podcast, as I'm uh, broadcasting, and specifically I'm doing this video here for you. Most business networkings don't work, and it is truly not your fault, my friend. It's about you understanding how to align yourself properly so you can walk into a networking room and it becomes a thing that you truly enjoy, and most importantly, that a place where it becomes your home, a place where it's loving and caring and nurturing and happening no matter what. And that is what a true networking is. Networking is about creating authentic connections and creating long lasting relationships. So it's like this: you're over here and the other person is over here, and you're finally getting aligned and you're meeting your frequency. Because when the frequency matches, attraction happens. Because your frequency might be giving and you are vibrating at this frequency, meaning like you have this high expectation that you want to serve, you want to help other people, and then there's other people over here, and they all they want to do is sell, 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 pitch, 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 sell, pitch, 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 sell. And when they're over here and you're over here, there is a reason it's not matching. It's not your fault. All you have to do is the right networking, find the right networking event where this vibrational frequency of the people and the leader is truly aligned with your vision, your mission, your purpose, your drive. And when you two meet, fireworks happen. And that's what I'm inviting you to into my event, my friend. Thank you. Be sure to keep this in mind. Whether you come to my event or you go to any other event, I personally would love to have you, of course. But at the same token, I would love to see you succeed. So if you need some help on this, I'm happy to help you. Connect you to some people that might be good for you. But in between, be sure to love yourself, my friend. Thank you so much for being on this particular video, on this podcast. I really appreciate you and I love you very, very much. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with the people who might be able to use this video for their benefit on how they can walk away with an amazing networking experience. Namaste and thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.